Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday gathering, our Circle of Love. And as always, let me start with a prayer. So turn within with me and let's touch that secret, sacred place of the Most High that's deep within our very being. We don't need to look low here or low there. It's inside of us. It's not dependent on anything, any outward force or any influence. It is the very essence of who we are. And as we know that, as we live from that space, our life and the life of God are one life. They always have been and they always will be. We just remember it. And we allow ourselves to be immersed in that truth. So I bless this service. I bless all those who see and hear this service and participate. And just know that everything is unfolding perfectly in each of our lives, individually and collectively. Thank you, Father. And so it is. Amen. My brother Ed, you want to give us a congregational song?
As I share my open heart, my love I come to know. As I come to know my love, I allow my love to grow. As I allow my love to grow, the healing is revealed. As I learn to heal myself, so the world is healed.
Thank you, my brother Ed. Well, the reading for today is by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. It is possible for humankind to form states of consciousness that are out of harmony with the God principle, but these do not endure. And through experience, we learn to adjust our thought to that of God. When we understand this ego-forming capacity, our humankind and even of nature, we have the key to unlock the many mysteries and contradictions that appear in every walk of life. Today's talk is sin, evil, and the devil. I have to tell you, most of you know my process. I meditate all week on what I'm going to talk about and the subject, and I research and stuff, and I just meditate. But this particular topic must have brought up a lot of stuff with me, because this entire week, I haven't slept well. I have had one nightmare after another. I was fighting people, arguing with people, it's this massive nightmare, one night after another. And I sat back and my brother Ed and I were talking, and we prayed before we start service today. And he said, "Oh my God, I've had the same problem this week." I said, "Well, maybe it's the topic. Maybe it's what we've been focusing on." It's been a very, very interesting time. When I was a kid, the devil seemed like a very real thing. I mean, it was described to me in the catechisms that I received in Catholic school as this terrible looking monster with horns and a pointy tail, and just really red and nasty, and just wanting to drag me down into the pits of hell. And maybe that image still stayed inside of me. I don't know. I was taught that, sin, if I had not been baptized, the original sin that was on my soul as a child would have prevented me from going to heaven. Wow. These are all things that we were taught. We were taught that there was evil in this world, that there was, evil came out in different people. And granted, there are people who do evil things. I mean, Adolf Hitler is a perfect example. But those pieces, the way that we look at them really it needs to shift. Because the way that I was taught was the conventional way that most people who come into Christianity, Muslim, most even Hinduism, they see all those negative things and they understand that they exist. Well, we in metaphysical teaching believe that there isn't the all good of God. You hear a lot of this saying it's all God and it's all good. Well, that's spiritually. That's not physically. Because physically, you and myself and everybody else in this world launches out on our own pathway. We either get closer to God and God principle, or we stray away from it. There's no real in-between stuff. It's either you're getting closer to it or you're moving away from it. Those who are doing evil things are truly moving away from that part of themselves that is the divine. So the further apart they are, the more they don't understand the truth principles anymore. We've been taught in metaphysical studies that sin is simply an error. It's doing something that is diametrically opposed to divine principle. That's what sin is. And the fact that in any moment, you can change your mind, you can change your thoughts, you can change your words and your actions. To be in alignment with the divine principle wipes out that. That's a pretty powerful idea. However, it doesn't change the bad things that you may have done. It does change how you see life moving forward, though. And that's where you live. You live in this now moment. We can be regretful for things that we've done. But the way that we make amends is what we're doing right now. So if you've sinned against other people, if you've been bad to other people, if you've hurt other people, obviously an apology is necessary. But even more importantly is how are you going to act from this moment on? Things change. See, everything happens not outside of you. Everything happens inside of you. The idea of Satan and the devil is something that we've taken and externalized. We've created this idea of this entity that is doing all these terrible things and trying to draw us with it. When in reality, the devil or Satan is our own way of thinking. It's our own ego. The perfect example of this was when Jesus of Nazareth wanted to begin his ministry. And he went into the desert for 40 days and for 40 nights and fasted and meditated. And he encountered Satan. What he encountered was his own way of thinking, his own ego. He looked at it. He was tempted by the various things that came up to him until he finally said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Or in other words, crazy thinking, go away. He conquered his ego. But doing that is a daily basis. Actually, it's moment by moment, because we're challenged constantly by different things and people and situations. How we react is based on how we're thinking. How you and I see each other and react to each other is based on how we see ourselves. You know, I've taken many psychological courses because I'm a licensed therapist. And one of the things that kept coming to me was how when people point their fingers at someone and say, you're this and you're that, and you did this to me and you did that. It kept bringing up that same Confucius saying that every time you point your finger at someone, there are three fingers pointing back at you. You cannot see a problem with someone else unless the problem already exists in you, because the problem would be non-existent. It would be impossible to see. You wouldn't understand it. But you only understand it to the degree that you have experienced it yourself. I mean, think about it. As a child walks up to a hot stove and puts their hand on it, well, they didn't know it was hot. But now they know it's hot. And they're going to think twice before they put their hand on it again a second time. It's experience that gives them that memory. It's experience that gives us the negativity that we see in others. But also, it's experience that sees the beauty. It's experience that sees the love. It's experience that sees the compassion and understanding that's in another person. Because that already exists in you, and you've experienced it. You wouldn't know what those things mean unless you had an experiential piece that occurred in your life for you to understand that. So, back to this, to sin, evil, and the devil. Those old experiences, those old readings, those old teachings that were inside of me, this entire week rose up, and obviously rose up for healing. Because this was the most horrendous week of sleep in my entire life. I mean, I was tossing, turning, fighting, arguing, almost yelling in the midst of my sleep. I was exhausted this week because I've really gotten none. And what it's shown me is that there are parts of me that I still need to heal. The parts of me that believe in some of these things that I have to let go of. That's what we're here for. The whole purpose of our existence in this human form is to learn, to grow, to heal, and to go higher. And to be able to not just do it for ourselves, but to be examples for others to follow. And to be able to see the excellence in other people. Again, you can't see excellence in someone else unless it's already in you. So you're working on your own excellence. That's our human capacity of experience here. That's what we do every day. Moment by moment, we make choices. Am I going to let this Satan or this ego guide me into some disbelief and some distance from the divine and from divine principle? Or am I going to say, get thee behind me? Crazy thinking, go away. Let me see the truth. Let me live my life from and as the truth as it is. That's what we're here for. We have to remember that. That's why we come together for things like this. Not just for me to tell you and to remind you, but as we do every Sunday, is after I do my talk, you then have the opportunity to say, yeah, that's happened to me. This is what's happened. And this is how it changed me. And this is what I'm doing now. We learn from each other. There isn't one teacher here. We're all teachers. I have to say, the one person in my life that I probably learned one of the most from on a day-to-day basis was my son. On all the things that he would call me on. He made me be super honest and direct and very much in alignment with what I said I had to do. You have to walk the walk. You know, all of us who are watching this know the principles. We understand the ideas behind being in alignment with spiritual principle, with being in compassion and love with our fellow man and mankind. But you have to live it. We may know it intellectually, but we have to live it viscerally. We have to allow it to ooze out of our body in every situation, even the most difficult situation, the most uncomfortable situations. We have to be there for each other to be able to see the truth and to live and act from that space. If we're not, we're living a lie. We are here to learn, to grow, and to share. Your purpose, my purpose, is to continue to elevate our consciousness, to raise up our point of view, to be able to raise our vision to a point that we don't see the problem. We see the solution. And we not only see that solution, but we hold that solution so close to us and so near and so real that we allow it to become reality right now. It has to be. It's the law. It's the law of attraction. Because what you believe, what you see, what you embrace, even if it's not in reality right now, physically, we see it in reality in our mind and we bring it to us. There's a lot of things that are happening in this country right now and around the world. A lot of bad things, a lot of negative things. But we need to see underneath it all that God is. God is in each and every one of those individuals. God is in each and every situation. God is my life, your life, their lives. And they were all connected together. There's no separation here. There's no me and someone else. There's only one of us here. And it's that one of us that sees and senses the divine and allows that to be at the forefront of everything that we see, think, say, and do. And when we do that, we change the world. You are here to make heaven on earth. We're talking about sin and evil and the devil right now. Those are states of consciousness. Those are states of awareness. When you shift those, we can move to some space other than that, a place called heaven. And if that too is not a location, it's a state of consciousness. Next week, that's going to be my focus. It's the kingdom of heaven. I have a strange feeling that I'm going to be able to sleep a lot better next week than I did this week. Because if I focus on the divine, if I focus on the perfection of God, if I focus on the love that is not just inside of me, but inside of everyone else, bar none, and that it's the connecting force